Welcome back. Thank you for staying with the broadcast. Two members of the Eastern Caribbean Collective Organization, ECHO, are registering their dissatisfaction with the level of representation being provided by the organization. Christopher Hunt says ECHO membership is just clearly not working out in artists' favor, while T.C. Brown is shocked and outraged by a measly ECHO check. Jacques Wooding tells us more.
Local performer and radio personality Terry Cadet, better known as T.C. Brown, says that following what he anticipated as one of his peak seasons, he was in for a surprise when he picked up a royalties check for $69.51 from local music rights agency ECHO. Cadet says that throughout the years he has realized this trend in payment. However, this time around is concerning. He says that upon further investigation, several discrepancies were identified in his payment calculation.
I was one of those who were involved in, the shift from Uranora Musical Society to ECHO. And we were collecting monies, but it wasn't as much monies as we're collecting now. And now that we're collecting more monies, we feel as if the what's coming to members is pretty small, so obviously there is something wrong. We went through my catalog and they saw one, two little, stuff that was overlooked. So basically what I did was I gave him the check back and I said, I demand, a better an account of my works, and that's where we are at now. So I left that with them and I'm awaiting to see what they're going to come up with.
Christopher Hunt has also aired his views on the effectiveness of ECHO in representing the interests of artists. He says artists have and continue to get the short end of the stick.
And the artists are not really into the business aspect of it. But think about it. You really have to realize that when you look at the administrative aspect of ECHO, I don't care how hard or not hard that they're working, but they pay themselves first. So basically 500-600 people, money is collected on their behalf. And whether one want to buy a vehicle, whether they want to travel, whether they want to run AC in the office all day, who want to work hard, who want to go for a lunch hour and make it 2 hours or not, or whatever it is that has to happen. The bottom line is that the administrative money comes out first. Even if they tell you they're cycling it down, even if they tell you they're overburdened with works, the bottom line is still the same. So at the end of the day, it's out of the crumbs that you get in whatever that you get in.
Hunt says that being a member of ECHO makes no financial sense for artists. He says that if an artist can barely make enough money to pay a bill, it makes no sense for them to have monies collected on their behalf to pay administrative salaries. For 7 News, I am Jacques Wooding.
An early 2020 legalization of cannabis may be on the horizon for St. Lucia. So says the chairman of the cannabis movement and member of the Cannabis Regularization Commission, Andre De Caries. He believes the goal is within sight.
The formation of the Marijuana Commission back in August 2019 continues to make strides towards the development of a cannabis industry in St. Lucia. Chairman of the cannabis movement, Andre De Caries, says following cabinet approval of collective reports from various sects of society, full legalization may come into effect by January 2020.
The report, Ms. Thomas has asked us to get our reports in from the various subcommittees, the economic, the legislative, the health, and the standard subcommittees. And these reports will be compiled and submitted to Cabinet, hopefully by the end of the month. So Cabinet will have time to look over the report and hopefully start implementation by the 31st of December. And that would be a good time because it's the beginning of the dry season and lands could be better prepared in the dry season than in the rain. So timing is good, the commission is working, and we hope to have legalization by end of the year, January for the latest.
De Caries says the legalization of cannabis should not be viewed as a political bargaining chip. Rather, it should be regarded as a matter of national importance.
This is not a political issue. This is an issue that affects people on both sides. So I thank Mr. Pear for the support and want to ensure, tell Mr. Pear that, we're going to try our best to protect the vulnerable while reaping the economic benefits. So thanks again, Mr. Pear.
The Carries has welcomed recent statements by leader of the opposition, Philip J. Pierre, on a cannabis industry in St. Lucia benefiting the Rastafarian community, as well as working towards expunging criminal records associated with marijuana use and possession.
It is extremely heartwarming to see Mr. Philip J. Pierre publicly express these views as leader of the SLP. It isn't surprising though. When Dr. Kenny Anthony was in power, Mr. Pear was one of the only ministers that gave us an interview, granted us an interview. He couldn't do anything. Mr. Lacobine and Dr. Anthony had everybody's hands tied when dealing with it, and it wasn't an issue for the SLP at that time, but Mr. Pear still gave us an audience, so I have big respect for Mr. Pear.
According to the Carries, St. Lucia Cabinet of Ministers will be meeting in the month of December to review the Marijuana Commission reports. Reporting for Hot 7 News, I am Solange Alfred.
Senior Communications Officer in the Office of the Prime Minister, Nicole MacDonald, is coming to the defense of Prime Minister Alan Chasney over his decision to take legal action against a controversial talk show host. MacDonald says the PM's actions are in no way an attempt to muzzle free speech. Instead, she says the Prime Minister is simply defending his name, which has been defamed. Rochelle Gonzalez reports.
Prime Minister Alan Chasney is not on a power trip to silence free speech. This is the message that was delivered by the Senior Communications Officer in the Office of the Prime Minister, Nicole MacDonald, in connection to the legal action taken against talk show host Richard Frederick. MacDonald met with members of the press on Wednesday afternoon to dispel allegations made about the Prime Minister by Frederick. She said the action taken by the PM is not a recent step, rather, it is in connection to action taken previously.
The host of the program sought to give the impression last week that the government or the Prime Minister was trying to silence him in some way. Like I stated, this could not be further from the truth. The Prime Minister currently has a case of defamation with the host. He took an undertaking that he would not repeat certain words that the Prime Minister is saying have been used to defame him. So he took an undertaking to the court that he would not repeat those words. Over the last several months, the Prime Minister has noted that those words have been repeated. So the Prime Minister has submitted an application to the courts for the courts to decide whether the host of the program should be held in contempt.
MacDonald said by taking the steps that he did, the PM is simply exercising his rights, contrary to beliefs that he is trying to muzzle those who oppose him.
Like I said, the Prime Minister has every right, just like every citizen has a right to defend his name, to defend his character. This has nothing to do with any attempts to silence Richard Frederick. This has nothing to do with any attempts to silence the media. This has nothing to do with that. This is a completely separate issue where Prime Minister Alan Chasney, as a citizen, has taken Mr. Frederick to court regarding remarks that he has made and remarks that the Prime Minister and his legal team have considered that the host has continued to repeat.
The SCO said one must always be very careful about the words uttered about others, as said words could land them in hot water.
You don't want people giving the impression that there's any attempt using government to prevent somebody from saying something or to silence, but there's a level of responsibility with what you say about people. You know, you need to be able to prove the things you're saying about people. You need to be able to not infringe on people's rights, you know, and the Prime Minister is just like every other citizen. He has the right to take this matter to court. He is using the courts as an avenue to resolve this matter.
MacDonald said the application is now before the court and Frederick will now have the opportunity to answer to it. Reporting for Hot 7 News, I'm Rochelle Gonzalez.
Meanwhile, did Prime Minister Alan Chasney defame Dr. Ernest Hilaire? The court will make that determination, but not as yet. Dr. Hilaire indicated on the Hot 7 TV program The Hot Seat that he is waiting with bated breath. So what's the holdup with the case? Both men have powerhouse legal teams. Dr. Hilaire has Dominican Senior Counsel Anthony Astafan, Thaddeus Antoine, and Renee St. Rose, while Prime Minister Alan Chasney has Garth Patterson and Mac Mirage as his legal team. The case goes back to 2018 when Dr. Ernest Hilaire filed suit against Prime Minister Alan Chasney for allegedly accusing St. Lucia's former High Commissioner to the UK of impropriety when it came to the issuing of diplomatic passports and the controversial appointment of now-deceased Saudi Arabian billionaire Walid Jufali as St. Lucia's permanent representative to the International Maritime Organization. Anthony Astafan gave us an update on the case.
The present status of the defamation case between Mr. Ernest Hilaire and the Prime Minister, Mr. Chasney, is that the matter, the strikeout judgment, which Mr. Hilaire won, was appealed by the Prime Minister, and the court has reserved judgment. So we will soon find out what the result is, hopefully, but I suspect it may not be this year. But from all reports, I was not in court. Ms. Renee St. Rose argued it. Mr. Peter Foster and Thaddeus Antoine were there. And from all reports that I have received so far, the appeal went extremely well.
Astafan says the matter is one that will set precedent for St. Lucia. The Prime Minister had sought to have Dr. Hilaire's claim struck out. Chasney's application to strike out the claim was dismissed, and it is that decision which has been appealed. Dr. Hilaire says he will take all steps to protect his reputation from those who seek to tarnish it in hopes of political gain. The St. Lucia Tourism Authority is exploring opportunities to expand its presence in the UK market. The authority participated in the World Travel Market London, and its CEO spoke about efforts to expand the marketing strategy in the UK. The opening of the Royal St. Lucia Turf Club in December was also highlighted as efforts to continue to boost the appeal of the destination.
The St. Lucia Tourism Authority, SLTA, is taking a number of steps and measures to drive tourism numbers and boost St. Lucia's tourism product. The authority continues to boast of record numbers, and the CEO, Beverly Nicholson Doughty, says efforts are not letting up, particularly in the UK market. She spoke to the UK press at the World Travel Market Forum about the island's marketing strategy to inspire UK travelers to visit the island. The focus is on expanding St. Lucia's presence in the UK market through various initiatives. The UK tourism market has taken some hits lately with the pullout of Virgin and the collapse of Thomas Cook, but the SLTA CEO is optimistic that St. Lucia can recover in good time.
You might have seen our wonderful St. Lucian taxi cabs running around the city. Incredible print advertising will be on television in a few weeks. So we really are making sure that we inspire people to visit St. Lucia.
One of the new exciting tourism offerings that she spoke of is the Royal St. Lucia Turf Club. The grand opening and first race is scheduled for the 13th of December 2019. Despite controversy surrounding the project, the SLTA is pressing forward by assisting the investor with marketing and promotion. Nicholson Doughty underscored that the venture is part of the overall thrust to drive tourism in the south of the island.
British Airways announced 2 additional flights in July and August, so that is a great start. It certainly won't make up for the full loss of both those entities, but we are working diligently. We had some very productive conversations here at World Travel Mart, and our goal is to ensure that we continue to grow market share. We've had growth in 17, growth in 18, growth in 19, so we definitely are looking forward to growth in 2020-21.
World Travel Market London introduces global travel buyers to over 5,000 of the biggest destinations and brands in the world. It was noted that St. Lucia had not had its own stand at the forum in a while.
A number of hotel partners joined forces to make that possible. The SLTA CEO noted that the UK continues to be an incredibly important market for St. Lucia. This is the Hot 7 TV Nightly News. Stay with us. There's more news coming up after the break.